Biden is I try to remove myself from it, and I try not to give like big history takes while you're in the moment. But it's really hard not to say that he's one of the worst presidents in modern history. And I think the reason why I'm going to go with it is because I want to judge him by the things that he set out to do. So Joe Biden has been the same person for his entire political career. He is a basically C student who thinks he's an A student. The chip on his shoulder against the elites has played to his benefit in his original election to the United States Senate, through his entire career as a United States Senator, where he always wanted to be the star and the center of attention, and to his 1988 presidential campaign. And one of the most fascinating things about Biden and watching him age is watching him become even more of what he already was. And so, book recommendation, it's called What It Takes. And it was written in 1988. And there's actually a long chapter on Joe Biden and about the plagiarism scandal. And one of the things that comes across is his sheer arrogance and belief in himself as to why he should be the center of attention. Now, the reason I'm laying all this out is the arrogance of Joe Biden, the individual and his character, is fundamentally the reason his presidency went awry. This is a person who was elected in 2020 really because of a feeling of chaos, of Donald Trump, of we need normalcy, decides to come into the office, portrays himself as a quote unquote transitional president, slowly, begins to lose a lot of his faculties, and then surrounds himself with sycophants, the same ones who have been around him for so long, that he had no single input into his life to tell him that he needed to stop and he needed to drop out of the race until it became truly undeniable to the vast majority of the American people. And that's why I'm trying to keep it as like him as an individual, as a president, because we could separate him from some of his accomplishments and the things that happened. Some I support, some I don't. But generally, a lot of people are not going to look back and think about Joe Biden and the CHIPS Act. A lot of people are not going to look back and think about Joe Biden and the Build Back Better bill or whatever, his Lena Khan antitrust policy. They're going to look back on him and they're going to remember high inflation. They're going to remember somebody who fundamentally never was up to the job, in the sense that again, book recommendation, Freedom from Fear by David Kennedy, is about the Roosevelt years. And one of the most important things people don't understand is the New Deal didn't really work in the way that a lot of people wanted it to, right? Like, there was still high unemployment. There was still a lot of suffering. But you know what changed? They felt that they had a vigorous commander-in-chief who was doing everything in his power to attack the problems of the everyday American. So even though things didn't even materially change, the vigor, that's a term that was often associated with John F. Kennedy at Vigor, in the Massachusetts accent. We had this young, vibrant president in 1960, and he was running around and he wanted to convince us that he was working every single day tirelessly. And when you have an 80-year-old man who is simply just eating ice cream and going to the beach while people's grocery prices and all this thing go up by 25%, and we don't see the same vigor, we don't see the same action, the bias to action, which is so important in the modern presidency. That is fundamentally why I think the Democrats, part of the reason why the Democrats lost the election, and also why I think that he missed his moment in such a dramatic way. And he had the opportunity. He could have done it, if he wanted to, but maybe 20 years ago. But the truth is that his own narcissism, his own misplaced belief in himself, and his own accidental rise to the presidency ended up in his downfall. And it's kind of amazing because, again, if we look back to his original campaign speech, 2019, why I'm running for president. It was Charlottesville, and he said, I want to defeat Donald Trump forever, and I want to make sure that he never gets back in the White House again. So by his own metric, he did fail. It was the only thing he wanted to do, and he failed from.
You said a lot of